Hello everybody and welcome back to the AMD Radeon Extravaganza Qualifier. My name is Slow Wolf. Casting with me is Master Dog. How are you doing right now after that last break?
I'm doing good. I got some more water, refreshed the system after that amazing winners finals, but now we've got just a couple more sets to go here in the losers bracket. We're going to be heading into our losers semi-final of Believe versus Seryph. Now Seryph, he joined in a bit late in the TorCraft season, but Believe he's been around for so long and currently sitting atop, at the very top of the TorCraft ladder ranking. So, to get things started, we're going to be spawning on top of our green Protoss here on Bonnie Research Station. It is Believe.
And on the bottom side of the map, playing our red Terran, we've got Seryph. So we haven't seen Seryph play yet. Do you have any background on this guy?
He does like to go for a bit of the mech style, but the only games I've actually ever seen of him were Terran vs. Zerg. Terran vs. Protoss, I'm running, I'm drawing blanks here. But that probably doesn't even matter, as right now we have to see, is he going to be able to defeat the proxy gateways that are going to be headed his way, as Believe he's got a probe already across the map. A pylon is thrown down. Now, Believe, when he does go for these proxy aggressions, sometimes he doesn't go for the double gateway. Sometimes it's just the one, and that can really change the dynamic of how you're going to defend this. Right now, Seryph, he's going to be throwing his barracks down actually on the inside of his base. That's not that good for him.
No, that is going to be disastrous if I know what proxy, like what the advantages of a proxy gateway are. What are the risks behind this proxy gateway? Like what could go wrong right now? For Believe if Seryph is wise to this. More importantly, do you think that Seryph will actually get wise in time?
I don't think he will, and honestly, Seryph is kind of in a position where he's got to do what he set himself to do. He's got a refinery finishing up, meaning he's going to be going for a Reaper, and Reapers aren't that great versus Zealots, as they just don't deal enough damage in time. Actually, he's got an SCV going to look around. So he's going to be able to find this gateway, but only as it finishes. It's only going to be the one gateway, however, so it's not going to be as bad. Now, Chrono Boosted Zealots are going to be on the way, and Seryph right now, he's got to make sure he can just kite for as long as possible, and he will be finishing up his wall as well. This is very good. He's going to be throwing down the bunker, throwing down the supply depot as well.
But in the meantime, we've already had one Zealot produced. He's sitting there waiting. He's got a second buddy coming in, and there's only one Marine in the process of being produced to really speak to the Terrans, to speak to Seryph's forces right now. Believe is sitting pretty by the look of things. What do you think that Believe needs to do if this proxy gateway doesn't end up finishing the job?
Well, he's got to make sure that he immediately gets to chrono boosting those probes out. He's got to make sure he can get up some tech back at home, and he's doing an alright job at that, as he has transitioned into the Cybernetics core already, and it looks like he's no longer going to be producing too many Zealots. He does see, oh, okay, you've got the bunker up, Zealots won't be able to do too much versus that. We do have, in fact, a Stalker going to be coming out, but it's rallied for the way back home, so Believe has pretty much transitioned off of this, and he's done a good job at, you know, keeping the tech going and making sure that if his attack fails, he's not going to be in the dark.
Now, one thing to note here is that Seryph is building his command center off on his Natural Expo, which is a good thing to do. On the flip side, though, Believe is not building, like, hasn't built a Nexus at all. I'm guessing that's fairly typical of going for a proxy pylon, but when do you expect that the second expansion is going to come out for Believe and his army?
It's probably going to come out at 7 minutes, if it even does come out. There's been many a times where, you know, you go for the very aggressive proxy buildings, and then it fails, so you just try to rally up as many more units as you can. A couple minutes later, you go for another attack. So we'll have to see exactly how it goes. Actually, Stargate going to be coming down, so we'll probably be seeing a Nexus very soon, and by very soon, I mean pretty much now. So...
yeah, one would hope. Yeah, there it is. The Nexus being built off in the safe expansion area. So that's going to be built up, and then it's going to take a little while to get there. But you know, 100 seconds later, you're going to be having that second expansion, and that'll be good for him. He's also researching warp gates. Do you think that that proxy pylon is going to be allowed to live for much longer? Like, it seems very undefended.
It is very undefended, but the thing is, with the Stargate on the way, it doesn't really matter, as he's kind of going to be stuck in his base for a while. I'm guessing we're going to be getting an Oracle coming out of the Stargate, as it just provides so much more utility. On the flip side, we could be getting a Void Ray. It's going to be the Oracle after all. And, you know, with the Oracle, it's going to go in towards the Terran's Natural. The Marines will have to get pulled away, and at that point, the Stalkers and the Gateway units come up the main ramp, and now you're getting sandwiched on either side.
One thing that the Stalkers can do is blink, and I mean a lot, and it can be a huge problem when your only defense happens to be one wall and some really juicy-looking cliffs. Do you think that Believe is going to go ahead and do the Blink Stalker move here, or... Oh, that's interesting. But do you think he's going to do the Blink Stalker move?
I don't think he will, honestly. He's got a Stargate on the way. He has a Stargate up, so that's a lot of gas thrown into there. Plus, he's got a robotics facility on the way. With no Twilight Council on the dock, I don't think we're going to be getting Blink coming out of our Protoss player here.
Our Terran player is sending a Reaper up here. Seryph going for a sneaky Reaper. Let's see how this one works out. I wonder if it'll actually end up doing anything. He's going in for the second natural expansion. Reaper's going to come in, takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pot shots, and takes out 1 probe. He's going for the second probe. Oh, he decides to go for the Stalker instead. The Stalker's going to go ahead and start chasing him down. The Reaper's being queued to run right out of the base as fast as he can. The Zealot's just going to ignore him. Whatever, we'll walk past him. Hey, bro, how's it going? Reaper's going to just jump out, and he'll be perfectly fine. But he does take out a probe. On the flip side, though, the Oracle doing some damage to the second expansion for the Terran player. It's going to have to back off due to the missile turret. And then the Mothership Core, coupled with a couple of Stalkers, are going to do their best to try to assault this front doorway. But to no avail. It's not going to end up doing very much. At the end of that, 2 units being lost for the Protoss, one of them being a probe. And on the Terran side, 5 units lost. Total resources, it's only 25 deficit in favor of Believe. So all things considered, the two teams are very even off. This Oracle is doing some work, though. It's just running around harassing the workers. Workplace harassment at its finest, but no Zerglings this time. Just one Protoss going crazy as it possibly can and dodging the missiles as much as it can as well. It's going to back off and get its shields back up. But things so far looking really good for Believe, who's just managed to make a pretty decent dent, or a pretty decent scratch to start things off.
Ooh, and this Oracle actually going to be able to spot a double Widowmine drop, though of course Believe only knows that there is a drop headed his way. Oracle looking to follow it, but of course being a bit hesitant, as he should, as it's very possible that things could just start dropping right out of it, get rid of the Oracle. But Observer going to be confirming the drop is headed towards the natural. Stalkers are already here, as well as an Observer, and that's going to be very helpful. And the Widowmine's even going to get dropped, so now Believe definitely knows what's on its way.
So, what are the why would you drop the Widow Mines on this side? Is it just for safety reasons? That way, if the medevac gets picked off, one of the Widow Mines ends up surviving, or? Oh, and it looks like the proxy pylon was finally taken out by a small contingent of Marines on the bottom left. So that's gone. Not that that was a big problem, like you mentioned before. And down goes the medevac with the last remaining Widow Mine. Oh wait, no, there it is. Something I felt got attacked up there. It must have been the last
single Widow Mine that got dropped. But
and there's another Widow Mine being placed at the second expansion. The probe's going to get immediately blown right up, but the pylon going to end up surviving. So Believe knows that there's a Widow Mine right here. He knows it exists. He's going to be able to take it out, probably very easily. Will he? We'll see.
And for right now, we've got the Colossi production on the way, extended thermal lance as well. The Oracle is going to be coming up in towards the main base. Going to be getting rid of a lot of the SCVs building barracks. And Marines trying to chase after these, but you've got to be careful. There are also some missile turrets around, making maneuvering just a bit more difficult. And Oracle's now looking to be out of energy. Oh, the more damaged one does have a bit left to its name. But it looks like that's going to be it from the Oracle harassment for now. And, you know, with the missile turrets and the bio on either side, that Oracle's not going to be leaving anytime soon.
No, it's going to stay there until such a time that Believe can go ahead and bring it back into the fight. Their shields are generating relatively quickly, though, so I expect that will be soon. Believe now has 3 expansions up and running safely. The Widow Mine on the left expansion being taken out fairly piecemeal. As you mentioned before, the Colossi are on the move. They're up and running. Things are looking really good for Believe right now. He's ahead in terms of the resource exchange with the units, and he's doing really well for himself. He's got lots of upgrades being built up right now, ground armor and ground weapons. He's just continuing to build more Colossi. What do you think the general strategy is for Believe right now? And what do you think Seryph needs to do to go ahead and head that off? Speaking of which, heading that off, lots of shielded Marines and a couple of Marauders making their way up through the level right now.
Yeah, and I'd say Seryph, he needs to just start getting really aggressive, as there is a lot of aggression that has been coming his way, and he hasn't been dealing it back, which is allowing Believe to just keep his lead going. But Seryph right now, he's been doing a good, alright job at defending, but if you're going to play the pacifist, it doesn't quite work in StarCraft.
No, it doesn't. You really do need to go ahead and get your pickoffs and get your advantages where you can manage them. Speaking of which, we've got what seems to be a two-pronged attack. We've got the medevac on the left side with a couple of Widowmakers ready for a drop, and on the right side, we've got a huge medevac drop with plenty of Marines that is just going to start ripping apart this base expansion here. The Mothership Core is going to come on in, and it's going to get immediately taken out as this Nexus starts taking a lot of damage. The medevacs are just going to sit there and enjoy their time. The units are some units are getting warped in. Some zealots. Is going to be enough. It's going to be enough to send the medevacs packing. They are not going to want to deal or pick up any of their own units, and that's going to be that. As a couple of Marines are the only things left over as a photon cannon, and the overcharge off the Nexus takes them out. So that was really, really strong and well played, like a very strong attack. But was it worth it, Dalek? Was it worth the expense of all those units that the Terran player sent to die, practically?
I wouldn't say it would be, because he didn't even finish off the Nexus at the natural. He did get a few probes at the third, but there wasn't too much in long-lasting damage. Like probes, you'll remake them. Nexus, the shields will heal back. You only got about 63 damage done directly to the Nexus. And right now, Seryph, he lost a lot of medevacs, he lost a lot of bio as well. And bio without a lot of medevacs, that never really works versus a lot of AoE, as we've got 4 Colossi on Believe's side, as well as a Templar Archives that had finished up. So Archons aren't too far out, as well as Storm, but it's looking like it's going to be Archons.
Yeah, plenty of Archons, and he's also researching his ground weapons and ground armor level 2. He's also getting charged on the Zealots, so he's not going to go ahead and relinquish those ground units to, you know, the Reliquary. He's going to actually go ahead and use them. And in come the Colossi. They're doing a decent amount of damage. The Terran forces are a bit spread out and a bit slow to react. The Zealots are starting to charge their way through before getting ripped apart themselves. But a decent amount of damage has been done. The Archons coming in. Lots of AoE damage being dealt right now. They're going to go ahead and take the majority of the damage there before a couple of those Archons get the life snuffed out of them, but they are going to deal a significant amount before calling it quits. Only 1 Colossus ended up going down in that so far. Nope, make that 2. And the Protoss forces are continuing to push forward. Believe looking to actually take this game as quickly as he can with these units that he has available to him. Seryph doing his best to defend with the medevacs as they get picked off very slowly as well. What is going on here right now? Like, is Seryph going to be able to recover from all this?
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure, Slow Wolf, as right now he's behind in workers. His army supply has been dwindling so easily, whereas I believe he still has a Colossi or 2, and back at home he's almost got 2-2 finished up. It will calm down for now, but it's only for so long, as there are a lot of warp gates available for our Protoss player right now. So as you can see, a whole round of reinforcements already done and ready to go for Believe. Going to be pushing in yet again in towards this third base. The medevacs get thrown down.
One of the medevacs gets picked off by a surprise blink. The Marauders are doing the best that they can to do some numbers. The SCVs and the Mule have been brought in to do some damage. That's a surefire sign that the Terran player, Seryph, is having a really rough time. The second last Colossus goes down. Down come a couple more Marauders, some Marines, some more SCVs as the Stalkers just blink away, and a couple of Archons just say, "Hey, how's it going, friend?" and start blasting them apart. And that's going to be GG. Seryph calling it Believe taking our first game here in the lower bracket semi-finals. That was just constant pressure by the Protoss player, and although Seryph tried really hard to put some counter pressure and to be aggressive back with the Widowmakers and all that stuff, it felt like his attacks just weren't as effective. The vast majority of the time, it felt like his drops and everything just weren't working out the way he wanted to. Heck, he left a bunch of his units to die. What do you think was probably the most important choice there that Seryph made that he could have done a better job with?
I think the fact that he didn't really keep his front of his base defended when the Oracles came in, so he just started taking damage on either side as his Marines were trying to run over to deal with the Oracles. You know, the Oracles are still dealing damage, but now the Stalkers and the Zealots are coming in from the west, and it makes it very difficult as you're just kind of having everything fall in on you, and it's very easy to get lost on what to do from there.
Absolutely. Now that that Oracle harassment, just picking off SCVs left and right, did you happen to check how many kills each of those Oracles got?
I didn't actually, but
17 and 10.
That is a ridiculous number, though of course, you know, some of them will be Marines and other ground units, but still, 27 units killed by the Oracles alone just goes to show. And they were still alive right up until the end of the game, where they died to Widow Mines, but they weren't needed at that point. There was sufficient enough ground army that the Oracles, even if they were gone,
they'd done their job.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool. I don't think I've ever seen a master rank unit before, so that was that was interesting. But all things considered, that was really good, micro play on Believe, able to keep his base up and running. And Seryph, although he put up a really good fight, I think he just needed to be a little bit, like he said, a bit more wise to the shenanigans that Believe was putting on with the Oracles, and doing a better job of defending himself against that kind of harassment next time. So that way he doesn't end up being so behind in terms of his workers and everything. Proxy Pylon or not, the Proxy Pylon did not end up working. He defended himself brilliantly with that, but the Oracle harassment definitely was a pretty huge factor in him losing. So we're going on to Game 2. Believe taking that first game. What do you think is going to happen here in Game 2? Do you think that they're going to change up their strategies, or what's going to end up happening? Or do we need to just wait and see?
I feel like Believe will stick, Believe won't stick. Seryph will be sticking with what he was doing before. Believe probably going to be going for not quite of a cheesy play this time around. Echo, though, it's a small map, so it could very well be possible, but it's not as effective to go for the cannon rushes or the proxy gateways on this map, as it's a very linear style. You have to go through each and every building if you want to get in towards the main economy.
And that main economy is obviously the juicy nougat that we all want to get our hands on, particularly when you want to get